Good afternoon and welcome into Daily Cards Live here on ClaimsOnline.com. I'm Matthew Rocchio filling in for Joe Roderick. That is Bob Ramsey here on the show today. Bob, how you doing today?
I'm ready to talk hoops.
Wrong show, Rammer. We'll be back tomorrow for another edition of Two Man Game to talk about the NBA playoffs as we get some game twos tonight.
I can't take it. I can't hear you. Lay down and I'm going to stomp on you, Rocchio. Look at me, fresh as today's headlines.
Look at that. I mean, topical as the get out. I mean, right out of the bat, I thought we were going to get a reference lost on younger listeners, but instead, something exactly topical from Bob Ramsey. And in fact, let's stick to something that's happened in the last 24 hours and talk about the St. Louis Cardinals. They dropped the opener of a series for the sixth straight time to start the season. They are down in the gutter already against the Diamondbacks, losing 6-3. The big things coming out of Game 1 of this Diamondback series, I think, have to just be the sequence of events connected to Jack Flaherty and the relief pitching that happens in the seventh. Right out of the gate, I do want to get your thoughts on Jack Flaherty's progression as you've seen it through his starts now into obviously his best one last night, 6 innings, 4 earned runs, just 4 hits, and he gets the walk number down to just 3.
Yeah, it's still not a good ratio. No, it's not. It's not. But I think his starts show progression, and I think that's very positive. At this point in time, the Cardinals are desperate for an ace, desperate for Jack to be an ace. And is it a chicken or egg thing? Is he not an ace because he's not being treated like one? Or is he being treated like one because he's not there yet? Or is it simply, he might not be the guy? I love his talent. He's very competitive. And I think we just got to be honest that, he's been okay. He walks too many guys. If he cuts down on his walks, he gets deep. He gets to throw more pitches. He gets deeper into games. He gets more outs because he stays out of more trouble. And what does that look like? That looks like an ace.
Yeah, I mean,
so he's not that far away.
Yeah, I don't understand the consternation about taking him out. I mean, he got hammered twice in a row, and then he walks, he walks Walker, and so I mean that's the thing. And then for me, I obviously, like a lot of people, especially after last night, it's not a hot take to say that you don't really have a lot of confidence in Andre Pallante. But Mike Claiborne was on with us over at ESPN earlier this morning on the opening drive, and he pointed out, he goes, "Hey, Pallante's a ground ball pitcher. He's having a tough year, but in that situation, that's the pitcher. That's the situation. That's what you want to get." And it kind of bits you in the ass, and that's going to happen early in the season when you're kind of figuring out who these guys are. I don't want to jump to just to blaming the WBC or what have you. I think this is always a chance with a guy who is a surprise opening day roster maker in 2022. There's always a chance that level of talent, wavers a little bit and he struggles a little bit after having a solid year in 2022. So it's not surprising to me that he's coming out the gate in 2023 and struggling. And again, I'm not surprised that this early in the season, Ali Marmol is still saying this is his role. Let's see if he can get back to it.
Several levels of things there. Number one, disclaimer: I will always defer to Claves. But Mike, like I would hope any of the Cardinals brass would appreciate good conversation and perhaps other ways to approach it and maybe call out things that don't seem consistent. So Pallante's your guy in a very key situation. By the way, I agree with you. That was time to get Flaherty out. He didn't want to come out. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at it. He doesn't want. He wanted to clean up his own mess. That's good. Separate issue. You go to Pallante, he doesn't get the out. He gets sent down. That's how precarious a high leverage guy's situation is. Something there doesn't jive with me.
Yeah, of course.
You've got a lefty who's been good in Cabrera against several lefties in a row coming up. You want to get the ground ball. I get it. He doesn't get the ground ball, and he sent something about the value of players their position in the bullpen and how we react to it is odd to me. It's just I can't get it. Doesn't mean it's wrong. Just means I'm not hip to it right now.
Yeah, and of course, Rammer referring to about an hour ago, Andre Palante being optioned down to Memphis. Jojo Romero has been called up for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Lefty.
Lefty.
So now let me also say this. Why don't you go to Cabrera? Nobody will say this to us in the media. Maybe you don't trust him.
Yeah.
The game's slipping away and you don't trust him yet.
That wouldn't be that shocking.
If you're a manager, and I don't care what your numbers say, if you don't trust a guy in a situation, you can't put him in there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if that's the case last night, but it could be an answer.
Yeah, Romero, I think that definitely could be.
Yeah, and so Romero comes up, gives you another lefty, and maybe tonight it's a game where he and Cabrera both get a look. I don't know.
Yeah, I would doubt after 2 innings of work if Cabrera is available.
Probably not
tonight.
And so you really need Romero.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to need a lot of reliever arms. This is not the first time I think somebody's going to get hit that has options available, and then they shuffle them out because you're taxing a lot of the bullpen here early in the season. And now that's going to get a little bit of relief because, one, you're going to get Adam Wainwright back, and then you were able to move Woodford into the bullpen. That's going to help you lengthen out some of the arms. But overall, the starting pitching has been better this third run through the rotation. So that's going to get a little bit easier on the bullpen, but still, it's definitely something to watch. The bullpen's being taxed early. And again, at this point, I'm looking at the roster and I'm wondering how many of these guys do I 100% trust in a high leverage situation. Right off the bat, we already know there's one guy in the bullpen who the team doesn't trust in a high leverage situation, which is a bad situation in and of itself. But I mean, like you said, up until that game when he looked really good, did you trust Genesis Cabrera and how he had looked in the last month in a high leverage situation? Did you trust Andre Palante with the way he started this season? You trust Chris Stratton? Do you trust what Drew Verhagen's doing right now? There's a lot of question marks in this bullpen, and it's going to be interesting to see if just the amount of in-organization arms they have, plus some people getting healthy, will be enough to solve it.
Well, I believe, and as you know, I identify as a baseball manager, and so you have to accept that. We know that in your woke world, you're the one who's organized it all.
Yeah,
in your woke world, if I identify it, you have to accept it. Am I right or wrong?
You're right. You're correct.
Okay. The preferred way I believe to construct a bullpen is backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And just because you have an idea and want to put guys in roles, they still have to perform. So as of today, Helsley's still your closer, right?
Yes. Yeah, and I do trust that. I trust Helsley.
Although Gallegos got a save the other day. So he's my setup guy. They're both right-handed. So I need somebody to get higher leverage, lefties out.
Mm-hmm.
Who is that? And that's where we have a question. Is it going to end up being Thompson? Ideally, in a perfect world, you'd like him to get, maybe be a 6th and 7th inning guy.
Yeah.
But if you've got to get a couple of lefties out in the 8th inning or to start a 9th inning, I got to have a guy there.
Well, the good thing, Rammer, is that no one was asking that question in November, January, or March. No one was asking the question, hey, who's your high leverage lefty in the bullpen? No one thought that might be a problem.
I was.
Yeah, everyone was. It was the most apparent thing, other than maybe a high leverage starting pitcher because you didn't know about Flaherty. It was, I think, the most glaring issue in the offseason that didn't get tended to.
Well, the unknown shouldn't be viewed as negative until it proves itself.
Fair.
So let's see what we got. 3 lefties in the pen now, which I'm great with. How will that stratify? Who is the best guy that gets leverage, comes in and gets a couple of lefties? Who is the guy in the middle, and who's the guy at the back doing the slop work with Hicks? And I've heard some people in the media talk about, oh, you can't have – he's terrible. Why didn't he go down? And folks, it's very rare in the game of baseball, especially in the day of a 7-man bullpen. Your last guy is that guy. Yeah. They can't get anybody out. And he's got to suck up some innings when you're down by 8, or he's going to get you through an inning when you're up by 9. Every staff has to have the worst guy. It's like the old joke, the doctor joke. Somewhere in the world is the worst doctor. The scary thing is that somebody's got an appointment with him tomorrow. Yeah. So somebody in the bullpen is the worst.
But should that appointment not be in Memphis?
But then there's still going to be a worse guy. Find me a bullpen that's got 7 studs. Find it, and I will defer to you and buy everybody at Claib's Online a milkshake from Oberweis.
All right, fair enough. Let's talk about
the pen with 7 studs. It doesn't exist.
No, you're not wrong. But if your 7th guy is JoJo Romero instead of Jordan Hicks, that means there's a 6th guy above him.
Okay, Captain Math.
Okay, fine. I see how we do that.
But obviously, the better you can be, and so hopefully your worst guy only has a 4.8 ERA, not a 12.8. And I think that's everybody's point. Yeah, but go look around. In fact, I'll do it for you today, and I'll let you have it for fodder on your little radio show you do. Let me look around. I'll find the last guy in every bullpen, and we'll see how our guy compares.
All right.
You think he's going to be number 30?
No, I think he's going to be in the 20s, though.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Absolutely.
I just don't know how many pitchers are rostered right now that the manager is willing to say publicly, I'm not pitching this guy in a high leverage situation. We need he didn't say that. He said we need low leverage situations to pitch him in. Essentially saying unless we're up or down by 5 or 6 runs, we're not using this pitcher unless there's a gun to our head. I just don't think that more than half the league has that guy sitting on their roster. There's definitely some crap teams in the bottom 10 who have that guy, but you shouldn't be in a roster construction situation where you're dealing with that guy right out of the gate, especially when it's somebody who was pretty high up on your list at one point in Jordan Hicks.
Look, I wish the roster had Bruce Sutter, Lee Arthur Smith, Todd Worrell, Eckersley, Helsley, and who am I leaving out? I wish I had those guys. I wish I had all 6 of them. It just doesn't happen. Somebody's going to be the worst guy. Even if he's pretty decent, he's going to be the mop-up guy. Unless you're in a situation where now you're not as concerned about a Helsley saying, I'm ouchie today.
Yeah.
Because you've got a deep enough bullpen, you can shift roles around. But that is so rare to have that.
Somebody had to bat 8th in Murderer's Row, right?
That's exactly right.
Let's talk about today's game for a little bit. Let's get into the lineups between the Diamondbacks and the Cardinals today. And, of course, your lineups here on Daily Cards Live, presented by Bootleg and Tavern and Bootleg and Bob's. You can check out Bootleg and Bob's today. They are open 3457 Morgan Ford. The Tavern opens up tomorrow through Sunday, Wednesday through Sunday every week. And that's Bootleg and Tavern at 4501 Shoto Avenue, their new location. Go ahead and check them out. A great place to watch this Cardinals lineup today. And let's get into this lineup between the Diamondbacks and the St. Louis Cardinals. For the Diamondbacks, it's Ketel Marte leading off, playing second base. Josh Rojas, the big lefty DH, batting second. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. in left field. It is Christian Walker batting cleanup and playing first base. Evan Longoria at third base, batting fifth. Corbin Carroll at center field. Nick Ahmed batting seventh at shortstop. Gabriel Moreno at catcher. And Jake McCarthy at right field, batting ninth. And, of course, Dre Jameson, pitching for the Arizona Diamondbacks, the righty. On the other side, for the St. Louis Cardinals, Brendan Donovan leads off, playing second base. It's going to be an off day for Nolan Arenado, and so we get Alec Burleson at the DH spot, batting second. Paul Goldschmidt back in the lineup, playing first, batting third. Wilson Contreras moves up to the cleanup spot, and he is, of course, behind the plate. You have Nolan Gorman up to fifth, playing third base for an off day for Nolan Arenado. Lars Nootbaar right field, Tyler O'Neill left field, Dylan Carlson center field. 6, 7, 8 for your outfield, and then Tommy Edman batting ninth, and of course Jordan Montgomery pitching for the St. Louis Cardinals. An off day for Nolan Arenado, and then an outfield of O'Neill, Carlson, and Nootbaar. Your thoughts on the Cardinals lineup, Bob Rand?
I'm not a huge fan of prescribed days off unless it's for a specific situation. Day games after night games for veterans, catchers, the way they did it with Molina is really good. To me, when you have the DH, that is the day off for people.
Okay.
You've only been playing. You haven't been playing 3 weeks,
and your offense needs a boost.
And I will tell you right now, one of the things killing the NBA, maybe we should remember this for tomorrow, was the prescribed days off, load management.
Load management, yeah. It's
killing the game. You're paid to play. And I think DH is a perfect way to rest stars. And day games after night games sometime. So I don't love that, but if that's the way they're going to do it, that's the way they're going to do it. No use crying over it.
Yeah, for me, with the way the offense kind of needs a boost, I understand. Listen, I personally think that we're going to see more Carlson in center field than his bat would dictate because of the defense they need to get from him. But I mean, if you're going to have Carlson out there in center, I think like you're saying, I think you give Arenado the DH spot, then you move Burleson into one of the outfield spots because you have two great defensive outfielders already in either Nootbaar or O'Neill, whoever you put out in left field. You have Carlson in center. You get a bat going who's hot right now in Alec Burleson, a young bat who's hot too. I think you switch that up a little bit and maybe give a little bit more of the outfield innings to players who are hitting the ball right now. I really do think the outfield rotation just needs to be, who are your best 3 players right now, with maybe a slight addendum to what kind of defense do we need in center field today?
Well, in the history of baseball and maybe the metrics, people say it's the wrong way to do it. You want to get your hitters out there and then bring your defensive guy in the 7th or 8th inning, especially if you got a lead, things like that. For once, I'm in 100% agreement with you.
Oh my gosh. This is what it feels like, right? Okay, this is a big moment for me. It's the Diamondbacks versus the Cardinals. Again, it's going to be an interesting matchup as they have Dre Jameson, who's an interesting pitcher. Not a lot of film on him. That usually goes well for the Cardinals. So we'll see if a lineup that's already a little mired in the muck can break out today. Rammer, before we go, I want to tell everybody about our great friends over at Munganess St. Louis Acura. That's where I take my car to get worked on. It's the absolute best. They have so many bays. You walk in there, you can schedule your appointment online, makes it so much easier. You walk in there, drop off your keys. You can go hang out in the lounge, which is the best, or they can take care of you, get you a loaner car so you can still run your errands for the day. Again, doesn't matter if you got your car there or not. When you bought it, they're going to take care of you. And trust me, they're going to take care of you so well that next time you buy a car, you will be buying from them. I know that is the case for me. So please check out our friends at Munganess St. Louis Acura. Rammer, you have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the baseball game, and we'll talk a little basketball coming up tomorrow, I say.
Cardinals win tonight, even without Arenado, and I can't wait to dive into the basketball stuff.
There it is. That has been Daily Cards Live here on Claves Online. Have a great day, St. Louis. Enjoy the ball game.
From our roots in St. Louis, Royal Banks of Missouri is branching out to continue serving you with our locations in St. Charles, Jerseyville, Granite City, and now in Hannibal, Center, and New London. Royal Banks of Missouri, the community bank in your community.